Recording is in progress.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of I Can Do This All Day. I'm Dan, the part time Avenger, and with me, as always, is Mark, the resident Jedi.
Hello there. Today, we take a happy and joyous journey through one of the best surprises of my Christmas season, and that's another Marvel special presentation, Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special.
Holiday specials. That just seems like it's not going to be good because anytime I've ever heard the word holiday special, it's usually not.
Really?
Yeah. It's one of those things where in retail you hear about this is our holiday special. Like, oh, really? The same fucking price that you've had it all year long, except you just put the words holiday special in front of it. Doesn't seem so special to me. But yeah, that's where I'm thinking of it from this. But I didn't really quite know what to think of, this whole holiday special. I think we got really, I don't want to say lucky, but we were very fortunate that we had a Marvel special presentation for Halloween with Werewolf by Night. What were your thoughts going into this? Do you have any expectations with this special presentation of the holiday special?
I had zero expectations. Like, legitimately nothing. I was, okay, holiday special. Awesome.
You
Let's
like the
go.
Guardians, though, right?
I absolutely enjoy the Guardians. I enjoy the Guardians. My wife enjoys the Guardians, which is cool. And I was excited to see who they'd get. I think I was like, well, are they really going to get everybody? And damn, they were serious.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they got the Guardians, all right. We'll talk a little bit later as to what part everyone played, but it was interesting. I have a feeling they did it strategically and probably for budget reasons too, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. Me, I didn't really have any expectations just because James Gunn can't do any wrong. I mean, this guy has had hit after hit. Even his non-Marvel movies have been really, really well received, at least in the circles that I run and the movies that I've watched of his. I was like, man, yeah, this guy pulls out some great, great stuff. So I was all for it. And it was really interesting just to get that additional, uh, official holiday Marvel fix because Hawkeye, yes, that came out around Thanksgiving and it was a Christmas Marvel setting, but this one actually has holiday special in the name, which kind of hit me with a different feeling. How did you watch it? Did you watch it like the first night that it came out?
I literally watched it tonight twice.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. I watched it a couple times myself. The first with the family on the opening day, if you will, on Disney Plus. And then I just watched it a few hours ago in anticipation and preparation of this esteemed podcast. So, going off on the very first thing that really got a reaction out of my wife, the music. What did you think about the music?
I I was like, who the hell is that band? The band that played the first like pseudo Christmassy tune was the thing that got my attention. And then I was happily surprised with who it was. Not only are they a solid band, but they have great movie references as a band, and that's the old 97s. If you've ever seen The Breakup, they are featured in said film.
I've never seen that movie in its entirety. I've only seen the funny clips that you'll see, and I think that's probably worth it. But yeah, old 97s. I remembered the name, and I'm just like, oh yeah, this is really cool. But yeah, the music had some straight up bangers on the soundtrack. I would probably say that it was not what I was expecting from James Gunn. I actually thought it was going to be like pick any type of cheesy Christmas song and it's going to be in this. That's what I thought we were going to be in for. But no, he brought back well, maybe not brought back, but the old 97s, who's not necessarily the most popular band out there, but he brought him back in full force with a special lead singer for the final song, Kevin Bacon, who makes an appearance in this.
I think that you forget some of the background songs in this. That sound, the soundtrack to this has some really solid hidden gems in it. My wife, for example, was like, "Wait, the Smashing Pumpkins did a Christmas song?"
Yeah, yeah. That's so that my wife's favorite Christmas song is A Fairy Tale of New York. That's the opening song to the special. And she's like, "Oh, I know I'm gonna love this because I love this song." I was like, "Oh, good for you. That's awesome." It's one of those cool things where it's not every Marvel property she falls in love with like right off the bat. And so it's kind of nice to be like, yeah, maybe this can be like a household tradition that we'll watch this Guardians of the Galaxy thing and everyone will enjoy it.
I mean, I'm kind of sold on it. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
I think it's a happy little journey.
did you expect anything in regards to the plot?
I saw how long it was, and I'm like, what could they do? It's just gonna be a journey.
So did you going into it, you saw that it was like 45
41
minutes.
minutes. It's not. It's like 30 minutes. There's
I
a
didn't
lot of credits.
I didn't know, and we actually decided to do this podcast and this in the rotation for the episode without knowing the running length. And so I was sitting here thinking like, oh God, how are we going to do a podcast on this? But here we are.
It's got all these amazing elements of happiness.
It
I mean,
does.
how could you not like this movie? So it starts out with the music, and it's just going. And from a special presentation perspective, I am now two down, two awesome as far as I'm concerned from Marvel. Keep giving them to me. Give me
Yeah.
them. It's like the TikTok of Marvel, and I love it. Unlike the real TikTok.
Hey, which we are on TikTok, so check us out at I Can Do This All Day podcast. We've got some tasty morsels on there.
La. Just like and
With
subscribe. I don't even know what you can talk our ticks.
but no, check those out. Those are our catchy hits and tasty morsels of our podcast. And
It's when we're really funny, unlike 80% of the podcast. So it's 10%. Get your 10. It's like advanced Pareto.
so one of the things that also started off in the special presentation is the shitty cartoon animation, which is, and I say that because it really is shitty animation, but it's like, oh man, this is so cool. Like when I saw that, like, oh, they're doing it like, those crappy cartoons, or even, you know what? It even reminded me of Heavy Metal. So it reminded me of Heavy Metal.
It was a very heavy metal level animation. If they really wanted to kick it over the top, though, they needed to clay make it, and they weren't doing it. It was not Rankin and Bass style, which I was disappointed. Though there was a Rankin and Bass reference in this movie. Did you catch it?
No.
In the initial old 97's Christmas song, they talk about the elf that wanted to be a dentist that now sleeps with the fish.
Oh, I didn't even catch that.
I was like, they're talking about the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. I love it. But I dug the animation portion of it. I was like, oh, that's a way to save money on getting Michael Rooker in.
Yeah,
Or it needed to be Michael Rooker's last in-person appearance as Yondu, and de-aging Chris Pratt and the other gun.
yeah.
I mean, it made sense.
Yeah, I thought it was really cool, and it was cool to see Yondu again. I didn't know that he was going to be in it. I didn't do any. I went into this completely spoiler free. Didn't know how long it was. Didn't know what the plot was, and I think I saw a headline that either Feige or Kevin Bacon even said, like, this is, or maybe it was James Gunn. This is the first Marvel something that there isn't a villain. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, oh, so that was the one thing that I had known going into it.
And then some spoiler hit me that Mantis was spoilers, was Quill's brother or sister. And I'm like, oh, what? And then I'm like, closed my phone and was like, no, I'm gonna watch this. And then they
I
dropped
didn't-
that like right at the beginning.
Yeah, I didn't even think that that was that big of a spoiler. I mean, wasn't it kind of just deductive reasoning that Ego?
Hey, it was deductive reasoning that Nakia was pregnant too, there, buddy, and you didn't deduct that.
How was it deductive? They did not once did they even get together.
You don't know that.
No, I didn't, because they never showed anything of it. There was nothing to
Oh,
deduce because there
yeah.
was nothing that even alluded to it.
So we talked about your lack of deductive reasoning and the fact that Mantis and then they had a brother sister Luki Leia kind of thing, but they never made out. But they dropped that so early that it didn't even become like a big thing. That I was just like, oh, we need a reason for them to want to do a thing. And Quill seems annoyed with Christmas, even though the song, again, going back to that song, was amazing. Talked about pooping in socks and shit, and Santa being a crazy person. There's so many good. Listen to the song after this podcast, before this podcast, repeatedly. It's so good. And then they're like, okay, we're gonna go and make Quill happy by getting the greatest person in the world, Kevin Bacon.
So Kevin Bacon, this is not his first Marvel appearance. Do you know which is his first?
No, please enlighten me.
So it is not an MCU appearance, but he was in a Marvel associated film, X-Men First Class. So he was Sebastian Shaw,
Oh, he
one of the
was.
villains in
He
X-Men
was.
First Class. People forget about it. When I saw that movie, X-Men First Class, I was like, holy shit, that's Kevin Bacon. and I didn't know what to think. I was like, does this mean the movie's going to be good or the movie's going to be bad? But X-Men First Class, one of my top X-Men movies, if not
It may be a first class X-Men property.
Yeah. But very cool to see Kevin Bacon in here. And for those who don't know us on a personal level, Mark and I have done a little bit of sales and sales training in our day, and maybe even currently do that right now. But this man could not overcome a simple objection because he just couldn't isolate it. It all came down to price. And for anyone who out there is in sales or anything like that, if you only try to overcome price and don't isolate the true objection, you're not listening. You're not doing your job.
No.
And so that's where you lost me. But here's the thing. They would have had a fair shot at getting my business if they would have followed up when they said they would have.
That's a pet peeve.
Mm.
Here's the question. What do you do when you really want to work with a company because they do the thing you wanted them to do, but they have absolutely terrible follow-up and sales staff?
I just continue to find someone to follow up with, or have someone follow up with me and tell them flat out, like, hey, I really like your product and I like your business, but I'm a little bit underwhelmed by your staff. So can you get me in touch with someone who really cares about earning my business? Because I want to give it to you. And that's what I say.
I might have to steal that.
That's the best thing, is because, like, I'm giving you all of the go signs, but you just won't go.
I like it. I like it in ways that you don't even know, and I might have to use it.
I've done that for Verizon at one point. I literally went into a store and it was prior to closing, so everyone was in like fucking coasting mode, and I
Mhm.
flat out just said like, "All right, who wants to get a sale right here, right now?" And then the first hungry guy, I was like, "I can help you, sir." Like, good, good, because I've been waiting. So, but yeah, basically gave that little spiel right there. But yeah, a little bit of background about Vivint and my experience with the MCU partnership.
Wow. I did not notice the security scene in that, or the security system in that scene. I noticed the movie that was on TV, which was Santa Claus Conquers the Martians from 1964, a awful movie.
I was wondering what that was because I didn't know what it was. I was wondering like I'm sure it was a real movie, but I didn't feel like googling it just to try and find out. Did you know what it was right off the bat?
No, no. I'm like, I've seen something because I've seen a lot of bad movies. But this is like, I don't even know if you could find this movie bad.
Mm.
Like, if when I Googled it to watch or to try and find, um, it might be, oh, you can buy it on Apple TV. That's surprising.
Don't encourage the listeners to buy it if it's not good.
It is a in case you were waiting, just to give you what I know that you really want, which is the Rotten Tomatoes score of the historical 1964 Nicholas Webster Paul Jacobson writer and producer classic, the 120-minute classic from November of 1963. The audience score on Rotten Tomatoes is a blustery 27%, while the tomato meter has it at 25%. So if you run out of Christmas movies and sanity, don't watch this either.
Kind of surprised that they even have a score because that means people would had to have watched it in general. And like for like how many people are going back to watch that movie and do a rating on it? I don't know, man. Rotten Tomatoes must just pay people to be like, you have to watch this movie, or at least put something down on the
There's
survey.
24 reviews on Tomato Meter and 5,000 ratings, 5,000 plus audience score ratings. It's kind of a cult classic, but it's bad. It's
Okay.
it's described as endearingly cheesy. Just so naughty, it's nice.
Oh, those clever quips, those clever
For
bastards.
for viewers seeking a sub-competent sci-fi holiday adventure. Oh, but I mean, what other it just matches Santa in space. And here we go again. Santa Bacon in space.
You know what I was actually thinking of is I think that James Gunn just thinks Christmas is the biggest crock of shit. And I think that's why he pokes fun at, I mean, you've got the song originally written, a newly performed song for this holiday special. And there's just like so many different things throughout the 44 minutes or whatever, how long it was, that it's just like, yeah, Christmas is kind of shit.
But he gives us so many Easter eggs of happiness in this movie that
Sure.
remind me of Christmases past. Like, so after while they're on their way to abduct Kevin Bacon, one of my favorite Easter eggs in the movie that I don't know if you caught, I'm guessing you didn't because as our listeners know, you didn't get toys for Christmas. But while Drax and Mantis are taking pictures, there's somebody dressed as a GoBot, which is a very specific non-transformer robot from an old TV series in the 80s, from an old cartoon series. And he says, GoBots killed my family.
Yeah.
And I was
Which
like, you said GoBots. Oh my God, this is the best.
that's what I didn't understand though. It's like, wait, so GoBots exist out in the universe?
Apparently, Kevin Bacon said Batman. So Batman exists in the MCU.
That
He
was
didn't
funny when
say
they made that
who
reference.
plays Batman though.
It's interesting though because like So if he says, and I'm sure this is one of those things that James Gunn is like, whoever's going to pick this apart, you guys are freaking morons. It's a
Yeah,
holiday
that's
special.
us. That's
But
us, baby. Right
so
here.
yeah, but so you're saying that Ronan and GoBots killed Drax's family? I don't know. That's weird.
I mean, yeah.
That's so strange. But
So many, just
or no,
so
no,
many
no.
good
You know what? Ronan and his people could have killed his family because I think Mantis said GoBots killed his cousin. I think that's what she
Okay,
said.
whatever it was fucking great.
Yeah. But as long as it wasn't killing his family, because that would be going against the MCU canon.
Yes, can't mess with the that or the dancing.
Now, the next scene that I found really, really interesting, and maybe I'm just reading into it wrong, but did they go into a gay bar?
I think it was.
That's what I thought it was.
I think it was. But there were a lot of women in the gay bar that Mantis was booty bumping with.
Yeah, and that's fine. You can have like, there's people that go into gay bars, and sometimes there's like a pretty diverse crowd. It's not just like all male or all female, but
Dan, I'm gonna defer to you on gay bar expertise.
I have gay friends that have gone to gay bars, and it's like you wouldn't necessarily notice that it was a gay bar, with the exception of the scantily clad bartenders behind the bar.
I've never had the pleasure of being invited. I'm a good time, but I feel like they would be scared that I would be overrun due to my amazingly sexy bareness.
So that scene, though, I was thinking in the back of my head, I was like, holy shit, there's going to be a bunch of dudes dancing around Drax, and Drax is going to get wasted. And he's just going to throw down, and like you're going to hear It's Raining Men. That's the first thing I thought of. It's like, oh my God, they're going to play It's Raining Men right now with Drax dancing with a bunch of dudes. But it didn't happen, unfortunately.
No, because dancing is for idiots.
For people who are pathetic. But it was funny. They all got drunk. And yeah. I thought they would have done a little bit more with that
her
scene.
powers.
Say
when the
again?
lady tried to sell her a $40 map to the stars, she's just like, no, you're going to give me that. And then you just realize that, oh, she could literally get away with anything.
So this is where I want to talk about the characters a little bit, because now you get to see a little bit more of them solo as opposed to around everyone else in the Guardians, which is kind of nice. They really are idiots, flat out idiots.
But who do you want to send on this? Who's going to go do this? You can't send Gamora and Rocket on it. They're angry. They're send the most joyous idiots ever, and they have a bumble fumble good time. I mean, come on. You wouldn't want to party with Mantis and Drax?
Yeah, no, it's fine. I'm just saying they are idiots. Like before in Infinity War, I was thinking like, wow, they're really hamming these people up. Maybe they just don't understand the gravity of the situation. Literally the gravity, because they were jumping up and down on the moon. Yeah. But I was thinking like, okay, one off, they're just in a new setting and they're just, out of it. But yeah, they are flat out idiots across the board. So they're very consistent with how moronic they are. And I did like more of Mantis, because it was nice to see her in like the different levels of dynamic that she could portray. Like she could be angry, she could be, goofy, she could be drunk. And it was kind of cool to see that. And just her back and forth with Drax, Batista's Drax. It was just kind of nice to see like, oh, they're giving them a little bit of time. And even Batista and his performance was great. Like he still played that character to a T, and still a badass, because they get into a fight with cops and Drax is just getting shot with a bunch of bullets and he's just laughing his ass off because he's feeling tickled and he's going to pee his pants. And then Mantis comes in and kicks the shit out of everybody, which was really cool. I didn't know if we were going to get to see an action scene in this holiday special. I'm glad we did.
dude, the action scene was hilarious. And you're like, oh, nobody ever shoots real bullets at them. What's gonna happen? And Drax is all tickly. Um, what are your thoughts on Drax wearing a shirt all the time?
I'm glad that you bring that up.
Because I'm pretty sure it's because Dave Bautista said, "There's no fucking way you're putting me in all that goddamn makeup."
I think that's part of it, just because of budget. But at the same time, I think you're going to see him wearing more of those outfits, even maybe in Guardians 3, because I just don't think he wants to get. I mean, it takes a lot of effort to get into that great of shape. And I think
Yeah.
that's just a nice shortcut to be able to put on a vest or something and, keep your arms toned and you don't have to, starve yourself and get really cut. But the reasoning as to why it's a little bit surprising is because he has very sensitive nipples. So him wearing the vest in Tony Stark's funeral, that almost demeans his level of respect for it, because you saw a few different memes out there and some message boards and even some like YouTube clips of saying like, oh, Drax really cared about this funeral because he wore a shirt. And like, he has sensitive nipples, so he doesn't like to wear shirts. And so that's one of those things where it's like, if that's not the case and he's just wearing shirts now, it's like, well, that could have been played a different way.
My guess is they even gave him like just green sleeves to wear, and they CGI'd most of that. Like they might have done the face paint, but I think that he got them to majorly CGI that.
Maybe. That's a good call.
Because that was one of his reasons, like just letting it go. Like I can't do this. I can't go through this process. And he's such a great supporting character that like he adds such a deep level of comic relief that I don't think a lot of people get, because he just is like, ha, randomly,
Yeah.
and you can't not enjoy it. Like my wife absolutely dies at those random, not really funny Drax moments. Like she cackles her ass off.
He's the funniest part of the Guardians, for sure, hands down. I mean, I don't think there is anyone else funnier.
I wanted to be Peter, but yeah, you're right.
I mean, he can be, but at the same time, like, he can't be the leader along with the comedy relief, along with the hero. And, there's too many hats that he would have to wear.
So I got a question for you.
Go for it.
At what point in any of the Marvel movies were actors bad?
Actors were bad?
Yes.
Now you're talking about just the MCU movies?
Like, where did they all of a sudden say, you're an actor, you're a piece of shit, Kevin Bacon?
Oh, I think that's just James Gunn taking the piss out of everything.
I'm just making sure I didn't miss a reference from a previous movie.
I don't think so. I mean, I don't think they've ever made any other references to like calling out actors before in any of the other movies. No, I don't think that's. But yeah, it is. I thought that was hilarious that the Guardians were just like ripping on Kevin Bacon, finding out like, oh yeah, we love him. We don't hate him at all. And gosh, Nebula's phrase at the end where she's like, yeah, actors aren't all pieces of shit. That's great. Or whatever she said.
Nebula stole this for me with her two moments. We'll get to one in a second, but so they have to like mind prep Kevin Bacon through this entire journey, and they stop at a Christmas store to start, right? But first she tells Kevin Bacon, you're going to be excited to come with us. And we're reminded of the greatness of Kevin Bacon, who has more enthusiasm as a nearly 70-year-old man that you tell him he's going to the Christmas store than my 2-year-old does when I ask him if he wants ice cream. Wow. I'm just like, oh, Kevin Bacon, we will miss you when you're gone.
He's a good actor. And he's not 70, is he?
He's not 50.
I'm going to guess like 61.
Really? Need the drum roll. Need the drum roll.
Humna, 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 humna.
Humana, 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 humana. Humana, 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 humana. His wife, Kira Sedgwick,
65.
57, which makes Kevin Bacon a completely unrelated 64.
Okay. Looks good for 64. Holy shit, man.
Yeah, I think that I was just judging versus the the movie Kevin Bacon where they put him in like thick movie makeup versus the not superly heavy made up, but and spryly athletic Kevin Bacon, who jumped from a balcony onto some trees. And as somebody who has similar arborvitae in their yard, I don't see that going well.
Have you ever tried to do that?
No,
Dude, it
gravity
sucks.
and fat people don't go together, Dan.
It is not as easy as you would think, as they portray it in movies or even in
No.
Jackass.
Just don't do it. I'm very wary of gravity for good reason, because it's mass plus something that determines inertia and impact. And I max out some mass some ways.
If you ever try to attempt it, you need to wear long sleeves and pants, because if you do it in shorts and a t-shirt, I promise you, you will regret it. Your arms will be all scraped up along with your thighs, depending on what type of tree that you jump into.
I have no reason to ever jump into a tree.
Oh gosh, there's so many reasons, like playing hide and seek. So many reasons.
Negative.
I used to do that all the time when I was a kid, but yep, I learned very quickly to not do that.
You're not a ninja?
Oh man, dude, some of the shit I used to do, like I would never attempt now. Never. I like my limbs and I don't want to break any bones. I've never broken a bone, and I'm certainly not going to start now.
Oh, I definitely have. Okay. So Kevin Bacon's cheeriness was great. And then they get back to nowhere, which they conveniently purchased.
Yeah, right? Can we talk about that for just a second?
That they bought it from the collector?
The collector who probably died in Infinity War because Thanos wiped the fucking floor with that place.
Hey, maybe that's how they bought it.
Ah, it's so weird. I don't get it.
I like that it's their home base. Isn't it their home base in the comics?
I don't know.
You should open that comic over your left shoulder and just see.
I should, but it's one of the newer ones that doesn't have, or I'm sorry, one of like the reconstituted ones where it's like, hey, we're gonna make it like the movie. So it's not really the same.
Okay.
And plus, it's in the packaging. You want me to open up the packaging?
New in box.
As you can see, there's like a lot of new things popping up here in my background, and so it's the holiday season.
They lit that place up like it was the Griswolds.
Yeah.
Talk about a great Christmas light decoration, like so nice. And then Prison Muscles Groot, 50 Groot, decides to roll out the coffin with Kevin Bacon in it.
Just happiness all around.
He said, "I am Groot," I think once.
Two times, at least 2 times.
Did they take that from a different movie, or did they have Homeboy come in?
Well, that's one of the things. Is like I think it had to have been him because he's credited, right?
But
like,
did they just use an old recording?
I don't know. Maybe. I wonder how much Vin Diesel gets paid for that. Like,
I wonder how much rights these guys have to sign off to. Because who was it that just somebody signed away? I heard that somebody bought the rights to like the fake rights, the what's it called, the deep fake rights to somebody.
Bruce Willis sold it.
Bruce Willis, yeah. And James Earl Jones just sold his voice rights too.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. I would watch a deep fake Bruce Willis movie in a fucking minute.
Oh, man, I'm just not a big Bruce Willis fan. There's a couple of great movies of his, Die
Yeah, a
Hard
couple.
1 and 3. And that's about it. Like, I can't
Well,
remember.
two was a Christmas movie as well,
Yeah,
and it
yeah,
had
but I'm
Dennis
just saying,
Franz in it.
I didn't think it was a great movie. I liked 1 and 3.
Yeah, they
But
definitely stuck out.
I mean, and I
Um,
don't count Pulp Fiction as a Bruce Willis movie.
No,
He's in it, but it's not a Bruce Willis movie.
true. It's not an anybody movie.
So ensemble cast.
Hmm. But I'm wondering if they're gonna start deep faking Rocket and Groot, and it's just for whatever. Because I don't think Bradley Cooper did the Rocket either.
I think he did.
He was credited.
He's credited.
Well,
Yeah.
they probably just had to show up for one day, give him 5 lines, and get the hell out.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the things is like, so part of the Guardians, one of the questions I wanted to ask is like, did they utilize all of the Guardians to your liking?
So while I know there was a limited time frame for the movie, there are a ton of special effects in this movie. So like it wasn't cheap to make. I don't mind the ones that were left out. Nebula had a large role in Endgame. Rocket had a large role in the last Guardians flick. Peter's Peter. It wasn't a Peter adventure. Peter was sad.
Which he really wasn't, apparently.
Yeah, he wasn't that bad. He was just like, leave me alone. I don't want to talk about Christmas. He was like me. He wasn't Scrooge. He was just like, whatever. He was like every American on Christmas. They turned this fucking music on already. Oh my God, Mariah Carey. But I think that overall, I wasn't upset with how they utilized him because when they did, I felt like it was just so perfect. It was so perfect. The fact that Groot rolled up Kevin Bacon all happy. And I really want to know why Groot has prison muscles. Like full-grown Groot was skinny, and now full-grown Groot is like 50 Cent at the candy shop.
He's not the same Groot. He is a sapling from that Groot. So the original Groot in the Guardians of the Galaxy is dead because he sacrificed himself. This Groot grew from that Groot, but not the same person. So he's going to be, at least from what I think in Guardians 3, he's going to be like this big bad motherfucker. And so you're going to see him even more roided out in Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
I mean, I'll take whatever James Gunn's thrown at me. It's going to be his last Guardians movie, so let's go.
Maybe last Marvel movie too.
Yeah, because he owns DC now.
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, nothing wrong with that. You get your money, James.
Did you hear the rumors or even him talking about like trying to work out a Marvel DC crossover?
I would pay for Amalgam.
That would be so
I would go
crazy.
to all those in the theaters, but there's so many characters. So the only documented Marvel DC crossover is Amalgam, right?
No, they had like a legit Marvel versus DC fighting type of thing. You saw it. It wasn't. Is it Amalgam or Amalgam? I can't. I don't know how it's pronounced.
I don't know how to pronounce it either. But yeah, it's DC versus Marvel.
It was literally, yeah. It wasn't like the crossover where it's like, the Wolverine Batman character, because I think that was separate, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, they did. So they did 4 issues of, it might have been Amalgam. Now looking at it and actually being able to pronounce English properly at this age, you might be right. But it was 4 issues, I believe, of DC versus Marvel, where they had Batman fight Wolverine or Batman fight Captain America, where they had Wolverine fight Lobo, where they had all those guys go, and then they did the crossover.
Oh, okay.
Episodes after the fact.
Got it.
Or comics. They did 1 issue of what could be like combined characters.
Yeah, because
I'm pretty sure that was it.
Yeah, there was the Wolverine and Batman crossover of like where it was one person.
Yeah.
But yeah, but that would be very interesting if they were ever to make that happen. Now would be the time because James Gunn is over with DC. You know how much money that would make? That would be amazing if they were able to do that. It would
I
be
don't see it
freaking.
happen.
No, it's not going to happen. At least, you know, I don't think it's going to happen in our lifetime. But hey, I don't think people ever thought that the Avengers were going to make it to the big screen like they have. So maybe sometime in our kids' futures they'll be
Maybe.
able to see
I
something
mean,
like that.
and the reason I say it can't happen is they can't even release the OG Muppet Babies. It's already made. Trying to get these coveted IP pieces, like, I wonder who actually owns it. If it's part of Marvel or part of DC. While I feel like DC would be down, I feel like Marvel is sick and tired of carrying other studios who make subpar movies. The Civil War was listed as the number 4 all time crossover movie only because it brought together Spider-Man and the rest of the Avengers. So you've got to think that Disney's still taking it in the butt from Sony anytime they want to make a Spider-Man thing because they got to deal with them. And I am damn sure that they're pissed off there's not an Avengers campus or a way to get any Avengers characters into Disney in Florida.
Is that the reasoning as to why, like, that's part of the licensing thing?
The licensing Marvel gave was east and west of the Mississippi. So they licensed it to Universal east of the Mississippi. There's also a rumor that Disney's going to buy Universal Studios, but I don't see why they would do that. But
Yeah.
hey, whatever.
That's I did hear with Bob Iger taking over, there's a chance that Disney may buy Apple, but I don't know.
He talked about that in his book, that he would have partnered with Steve Jobs. They were very close. They were really good friends. But I don't see him messing with it now. And it would have been Apple buying Disney. Apple's worth a shit ton more, I believe. Let me check.
I don't know.
So Apple's worth 2.5 trillion. And Disney's worth a meager 172 billion.
You said 2.5 trillion versus 175 billion?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Apple, baby.
That's crazy.
From a non-believer, I know.
Well, no, I just find it hard to believe that phones are that much bigger, and phones and computers are that much bigger than, like, movies, theme parks, all that other stuff. Like, really?
Yeah.
If someone were to say, like, hey, I want you to choose between these two things, a phone or a theme park, movies, but you know what I mean? Like, it just seems like.
So which one gets year-round patronage and which one gets once every 2 or 3 years if you don't live in Florida or the surrounding states patronage?
Yeah, but you have the same thing for, like, it's ongoing worldwide type of patronage, though, all throughout the year, multiple times. Streaming services, theme parks, movies.
Apple makes money off of every streaming service signed up through Apple, off of every movie purchased on Apple.
No,
off of every song purchased.
I know that. I'm just saying, like, if you were to look at face value, one product compared to, or two products, if you compare, like, you know, computer and phone compared to, like, all the other things, toys, merchant, all that stuff, it's just like, wow, that's just kind of amazing to me.
Yeah, it's because they're in every country.
I mean, is Disney not?
There's no Disney in India, brother.
Really?
Yeah. There's theme parks in Japan, China,
theme parks,
France.
But
what appeals to predominantly Hindi culture?
Movies, toys. Everything.
No. They're poor, Dan.
Oh my God. You're saying India as a whole is poor.
No, I'm just saying it's not. They have Bollywood, bro. They
Along
do
with
Bollywood movies.
movies and toys. And
I understand that. I'm
I'm
just
not
saying.
disputing the fact that Apple's worth more. It's
You're
hard for
just
me to
surprised.
believe.
You're just
Yeah.
surprised. It's shocking.
It is. It is.
So back
With-
to the Christmas scene. I would be doing this entire podcast a disservice if I didn't talk about the one thing that may have brought me the absolute most joy, and I had to stop it, rewind it, and get my wife, is the most joyous part of the entire movie. Can you guess what it was?
No.
You don't even want to guess.
Like the parts where they made the little mock toy scenes.
No. It was when Nebula gave Rocket
Oh yeah.
Bucky's arm.
Yeah.
You'd think I'd be like on the Game Boy scene, like, oh, it's a Game Boy. Nope. You got me Bucky's arm. I'm gonna get that arm.
So that's where I'm curious as to how are they gonna retcon that, or how are
Who
they gonna make
cares?
that into canon?
Who cares?
Everyone cares. Are you kidding me? If they
don't
just
care.
go right back into it and it's like, what the fuck was that? That's some Christmas bullshit.
I don't
Everyone's
care.
gonna care.
It's the by
By whole, more people will care than not. Like they're just curious, as am I, if they're going to write that in.
You know who
Here's
didn't
my-
give a shit? Kevin fucking or Peter Gunn.
Peter Gunn, the guy who
No.
did the theme.
Shit.
Peter's
James
brother,
Gunn.
James.
Yeah. Well,
But no, one of the things I'm going to call it right now on the podcast, they're going to write that in as to in the Thunderbolts, Bucky is going to give away his vibranium Wakandan arm because he's going to use some new like Thunderbolt US government type shit as an arm instead of being solely dependent on Wakandan technology. Understand?
the Thunderbolts?
The Thunderbolts.
I'm unaware.
You're not aware of the Thunderbolts.
No, you're not aware that Apple's worth more than Disney.
So Thunderbolts is a movie that was announced at D23. So Bucky, Red Guardian, Yelena Belova, the Black Widow replacement, Black Widow's sister, Baron Zemo. I'm sorry, no, not Baron Zemo. Taskmaster and Ghost from what's it called? Ant-Man and the Wasp. They're all part of the Thunderbolts, along with U.S. Agent Wyatt Russell. They're all going to be in a movie where they're called the Thunderbolts, which is like the loser Avengers, where they're basically like no one really respects them, which kind of sucks though because Bucky's fucking awesome.
Yeah,
and he's going to be part of that team. I don't know, but
where's Falcon in this, or Cap?
Yeah, he's not. Well, it's part of a different team where the Thunderbolts are like the. Originally, it was General Ross leading the team, which William Hurt, RIP, but now replaced by Harrison Ford. He may be in that movie. I know he's going to be in Captain America: New World Order. Harrison Ford is Thunderbolt Ross. But yeah, so they're going to be with that movie, I think in 2025. But I have a feeling that that's what's going to happen to Bucky is he's going to either willingly give up that arm so that way he's not dependent on Wakandan technology. Because who knows, maybe there's going to be war on Wakanda after, Wakanda Forever, where everyone's going to turn on Wakanda. So maybe he's just going to give that arm up, and who knows? But that's my guess. And that's the reason as to why Nebula gets it. And maybe that's the reasoning as to why time-wise it happens around that time.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. I want to see if Bucky does anything fun with it, or not Bucky, if Rocket does anything
Rocket.
fun with it in the new
His
Guardians.
face on there. I mean, you can't really see his face, but just the Bradley Cooper's voice reaction to that was
Lucky
awesome.
charm.
That was awesome. Of all
Oh,
people
yeah.
to get it to Nebula. So I mean, she was practically an Avenger
But
at the time.
her just don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas.
It was
That's what I'm
pretty awesome.
saying. Like, while they were there and doing things, I think they were used in ways that made me happy. And the additions, I love that they got the dog into it.
Cosmo.
Yes. And
You know
Cosmo did Cosmo things, bringing you a dead like mouse.
I kind of wanted to see a little bit of Howard the Duck in this.
It's a Christmas movie. They're not fucking Marty's mom in this.
It would have been just a nice, even just a small little cameo, just a small cameo of Howard the Duck. And yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, he was in Endgame, for God's sake. Let him have like a 2-second cameo. And
was he in Endgame?
Yeah, he came through the portals. Came through the portals packing with a huge ass gun. It was badass.
Wow. Oh, so one more thing I got to mention before we talk about, the next generation of Guardians movies from this. Did you realize what they named the ship?
Bowie.
I loved it. I was in it.
But why was that named the Bowie? Like, what happened to
Because he's a star man waiting in the skies.
But what happens to the Milano?
The Milano was destroyed.
When?
Endgame. Or they upgraded it. Who knows? Who cares? It's the Bowie.
Can't really upgrade from a Milano to a Bowie. I don't know.
Ground control to Major Toms. You can. You can.
Wouldn't have been my pick. Wouldn't have been my pick. Maybe like the Locklear or something like that. That would have been hilarious. Like, because it would just been funny for Peter to keep the 80s thing going. And
David Bowie was the 80s.
I know, but I wouldn't have pictured him being like I picture Peter Quill as he was portrayed throughout the movies as like this girl crazy dude that just like loved the ladies. And so he got the Milano. You should have named this ship the Locklear.
But he had a girlfriend. So
not anymore.
And James Gunn was under pressure to make some additional music references. So he
inclusion.
Bowie.
Let's get the inclusion of a male in here, but let's make it ambiguous as well.
Come on. He's a star man waiting in the skies.
I guess I like the ladies a whole lot more for the ship names. I guess that's what it is. The Locklear would have been badass. It would have been so funny. At least it wouldn't have been like a Lonnie Anderson or something like that. That would have been god awful. But the Locklear, everyone would have known that. That would have been hilarious.
Leaving on this 40-minute or 30-minute adventure that I really loved, and we'll get to the after credit scene because it references one of my absolute favorite Christmas movies of all time. What do you see this transitioning to in the next Guardians movie?
I think with knowing that the team is more closely knit and everything, obviously I don't think they're going to make any reference to Thor. But so you've had movies where they talk about Gamora in the first one, Drax in the first one, Quill in the first one. Those are like the three people that mainly goes around, like the story goes around. You've got, I mean, you do have Rocket more in the second one, but I did remember reading something that James Gunn wants it to go back like full circle with Rocket to see where he came from. So I think that's where it's going, just based off of what like an article I read, like, gosh, well before James Gunn got fired And then, like I thought, like, oh, I don't know where it's going to go after that. But I think it's going to go full circle with Rocket. I don't think they need to do anything with Mantis. Mantis is pretty much closed loop because Ego's gone.
Are you sure? Because Mantis is now his sister. Like, did they kill off Peter and now she's Star S Lord? She's Star Lord too. She gets his little blasters.
I will guess not. But they're obviously going to run into Gamora again. I don't know how, but yeah, I can say for sure that I think they're going to go back to Rocket's creator, and then they're going to run into Gamora somehow. But other than that, I mean, Adam Warlock. I didn't even think about this.
They have to do that. He's in the thing. He's.
Oh, that's right. Will Poulter was cast as him.
Yeah.
I forgot. Huh. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just as curious about that movie as I was to the holiday special. I just don't know what's going to happen. What about you? What do you think?
I don't know. I with the theme of killing off the old and bringing the new as a girl, maybe they'll do that. Maybe Mantis will be the new. Maybe she'll be the new Star Lord, but who knows? I am up in the air right now about it. I just want it to be good.
Do you think they would ever just have Peter just go home and just go to Earth and just have him?
Like, they wouldn't even let him take Kevin Bacon home.
He hasn't been back, has he? With the exception of Endgame.
Did he go back in Endgame?
Well, yeah, they all fought on Earth.
Oh yeah. But then they left right away.
Yeah. Interesting though. Like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what you do as a swan song for the cast. Do you think anyone's gonna die?
I don't know. I would have said Drax if they didn't give him a nipple-free movie or a nipple-free special, and maybe prove to him that he can come back. They already killed Yondu. Maybe they kill James Gunn's brother in revenge.
Maybe.
Because he's now got a part in this thing, a bigger part than he ever had before.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's I'm curious. Just like Phase 4, I don't know where it's going, man. I don't know.
Yeah, you got me. That's for sure.
All right. So the question of the evening: Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. Mark, can you do this all day?
I did it twice today. Hell yes. I'm going to watch it at least like 4 more times before Christmas. Now, am I going to pull it out every day? No, but it will be a wonderful Christmas tradition. While the hypocrisy is strong with you, Dan, I've got a feeling I know the answer to this. Can you do this exquisite Marvel holiday masterpiece all day?
I can do this all day. This was a fun one. I had just a really good time watching it. And the fact that it was kind of nonsensical almost could make it a background type of thing all the time throughout the Christmas season. And even, if it's been a while, I could just have it on and just watch it anyways. It's not too serious. I think you'll know what you'll miss. Like if you needed to get up and go take a bathroom break, you can go watch, you'll know what you missed in between. But yeah, it was a fun time. I loved it. I love the fact that there were plenty of banter scenes between Drax and Mantis. I thought that was great. The Bucky's arm thing was fantastic. And the music was just a lot of fun. And Kevin Bacon, as much as people kind of just like shit on Kevin Bacon, the amount of movies that he's done, he did a good job in it, and it was fun. Just a fun time, and I can do it all day.
I agree, and I celebrate all degrees of Kevin Bacon, as that used to be one of my absolute favorite games to play working in the video store. I still am pretty damn good, and this creates a whole new opportunity for the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. Boy, howdy, do I love this movie. Yeah, I guess that does it for us in this of a plethora of special holiday episodes for your favorite podcasters out there. So like, subscribe, leave reviews on the podcast. Tell them why you like us. Tell them that you want to hear Dan bash everything. Tell us you want to hear my hypocritical opinion. Tell them you like that I can't remember the difference between Kevin Feige, James Gunn, and Peter Gunn.
Until next time, everyone, this is Dan, the Part-Time Avenger. That's Mark, the Resident Jedi, and we will see you next time.